Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. So today I thought it might be helpful to share some YieldMax and Defiance ETF hedging choices. I think in general, YieldMax and Defiance ETFs are great, but sometimes I guess like people are still concerned about like the NAV erosion, and it could be annoying for some people that are relatively new to the space. Um, there are some ways to offset it though, so let's just go into like the first and easiest one for most people. I think the for most people, it's just a matter of adjusting your cash position. So for example, since I expect the market to be pretty good in 2024, this would be a good time to raise some cash in the good times. I think it's always good to have like a set amount that you can allocate or reallocate when discounts arise. Let's just say an example. In January, you start off with like a position of 25% IWMY, 25% Coney, 25% clip, and then maybe you have like 20% in like dividend aristocrats like the Noble ETF or like the actual stock itself, and then maybe you have like some 5% left over in cash, just to maybe you want to buy something uh, when it's on sale. That's up to you. And then let's say in February it changes. Like let's just pretend that Coney just like knocks it out of the park again, and then out of your entire portfolio, Coney might grow up to like 30%, and then maybe a clip might go down like 5% or something like that. And then like February, that's when you can start making decisions again. You could uh, bring everything back to like how you had it in January. So you'll probably sell off some Coney and then buy some more clip. Or if maybe you're afraid of like something happening in 2024, maybe like for example, it's election year, so maybe you're afraid of like some volatility. So let's just say like IWM, Coney, and Clip, and to a lesser degree like normal. I guess like when they pay out their dividends, what you can do is kind of store it up. Maybe you could like bring the cash position to like maybe like 10%, and then you could just keep waiting until I guess like whatever bad event that you expect to occur, you can just like save up the cash distributions, and then like let's say like something bad does happen, everything gets a little bit cheaper across the board, then you can use that cash and just like redeploy and bring it back to your original like the I guess like however you had it set up in the beginning of the year. I think this is just like the most practical for most investors. The next one is just using a direct hedge. But you have to make sure that the options are, well, first of all, if there's even like option chains, and then second, you have to make sure it's liquid. And then you have to also like just for practical purposes, you have to make sure you have like your share size and multiples of 100. Because I know like when people first start, they might only be able to have like 17 shares here, 25 shares there, and that's not a big deal. Just like you know naturally when you're making more money and you're adding up to your positions over time, then you can like once you get to like multiples of 100, then that's when you start thinking about using options to hedge. And then like most people like they'll usually use a cover call, um, and then that'll give you like a small cushion, depending on like where sold the call. Or the other way to think about it is you could buy a what they call a Mary put. So basically, like for example, if you have like 300 shares of JEPI, you could buy three contracts, three put contracts to offset the any potential downside. This way, like if you have a Mary put, you can keep like any upside potential, and hopefully you didn't overpay for any puts. Then like if nothing happens, then you just lose the money that you paid for the put. But remember, like this is an expense, so you want to wait for implied volatility to be low, so then you can kind of get like the best bang for your buck. Um, and then and if say for example, like because right now JEPI and triple QY, like they're not the most liquid. So you could do depending on how many shares you have of JEPI and triple QY. You could buy like the corresponding like the underlying like index or like the ETF version of that index. Like so, for example, I'm showing you like the SPY version. Generally, if I were to like buy a like a put for like insurance, I want to go out like at least a year, just so I don't have to keep like buying like the insurance on a month-to-month basis. And then I also want like to generally speaking, I like to go a little bit in the money, just so I can pay less extrinsic value. And then even then, like if you notice, like I would probably buy maybe like either the 500 or the 505 put, like a little over 1 year out. But even then, like notice how like the bid and ask spreads, I know it's after hours, but still like it's still pretty wide. So it's just something you have to like think about. Uh, there's no such thing as like a perfect hedge. Like there's always like a cost involved somewhere. As I mentioned, for specifically for the Defiance ETFs, like JEPI and triple QY, it kind of depends on the day. Sometimes I guess if there's more volume, I noticed like that the just from trading like some of the options, like just to test it out, like the bid and ask spreads are pretty bad, but it's doable. So you have to kind of just like pay attention, like wait for like the bid and ask spreads to kind of tighten up, and then you can try, um, if you want to like teach yourself like how to like trade like a covered call, maybe just do like one, um, or like I said, as I mentioned before, you can use the corresponding ETF or index put. So for example, for JEPI, you could use SPY, and again, if you're not experienced, I would suggest maybe using like the put option, like a spread first, before just buying like a naked put, because those can get pretty expensive. And like buying a put spread, and again, I would go to like the bare minimum, if you're new to it, um, and then you'll see like sometimes like buying insurance is it's like buying any other insurance. Like most of the time, it's like a waste of time. But it'll be good like if there's like a down day and then you can monetize it, and then you can like take the money and put it back into like whatever uh high yield ETF that you like. And then of course, like if you're like a whale size, like 7 digits and up, you can consider also using like the bigger like the index itself, similar to how like Defiance kind of goes into like the underlying like the indices and not like the ETF. So XPX could be a good option uh for like the big guys. Uh, so that's also like another consideration. And then there's also other indirect hedges. And I want to thank this viewer, K-pop Every. He had a pretty funny comment. 2024 CYA is 20 cents. And I kind of just mentioned for like just people in general, like be careful with your hedges, because remember, like a hedge is just like any other insurance. Like most of the time, it's gonna be uh like annoying to have it around, because it's just like clogging up space on your portfolio, and it costs money. So and, unfortunately, CYA is one of those like Simplify, um, their suite of ETFs. They have a lot of good ideas, but sometimes like the execution or like the timing is just like really bad. Uh, so remember, like CYA is meant to be a hedge. So in a way, it's good that this particular thing is losing money, because I think it's meant to be more of a just like a general like insurance policy. And then like if you don't make money on it, that's fine, uh, because it is an insurance policy. Like you don't want your house to burn down or your car to get into a wreck or something. So that's the same way you want to think about like using these hedges. Uh, as long as your portfolio overall is making money, I think that's a good thing. And then like if you want something as a peace of mind, that's also fine too. Uh, so again, I mentioned for like if you're trying to teach yourself like how to hedge, I would say like spreads are like to wait or way to go. because then this way you can offset any like theta and some of the volatility bleed. So again, I also want to bring up because I've used some of these ETFs in the past, like ProShares, Direxion. The Rex shares and the AXS family of funds are relatively new, but it's the same idea. So for example, like SRTY, this could be like a triple daily uh, inverse performance of like the Russell. So this could be something that you could maybe look into if you have IWMY. And then like for example S triple Q, that's like a inverse ETF that's also like supposed to mimic like three times like the daily movement of like the triple QY. I mean, excuse me, of the triple Q. So you can kind of maybe look at this like for if you want to hedge part of your triple QY position. This could be also something that I'm looking at myself. And then of course like for JEPI, since this is a triple inverse of um of the SPY or tries to mimic like the daily performance, but three times levered. That's again like something that you can maybe look at. And then for like the YieldMax enthusiasts, there's also more and more of these like single stock inverse ETFs. So the NVDQ is supposed to mimic like a double the daily inverse return of NVIDIA. The same thing with NVDS, but it's supposed to, well, in theory, be like the inverse of NVIDIA, like the daily performance. TSLZ is maybe something like if, like I have a, like a Tesla position, so I'm looking at like either TSLZ or TSLQ, depending if I want like the double or if I want just like regular inverse performance. So these are two I'm keeping an eye on. But I like right now my Tesla position isn't that big, so maybe I'll hold off, but like just keep watching like the price movements of these things. And again, these are generally better for short-term trades, because like these are meant to be like for I guess like for day traders, I think originally. But it's another opportunity in case you need to monetize like a hedge and then redeploy into like the underlying like the high yield ETF. So these are another option. Of course, I'm like for myself, I'm waiting also eagerly waiting for like the YieldMax inverse ETFs approvals. These are short ETFs, but this time like they should have a better like a monthly option premium distribution as well. So this might be something that could be helpful for some viewers as well. I think this could potentially be like the least horrible option. Um, but these are still not even approved yet, so like we have to see. Because I really would like to see like how it actually performs like in real life. Because I have my own like suspicions, but like obviously until we get them, we won't be able to tell. So keep an eye on this channel, because I guess like I'll be probably one of the first ones in line to buy this stuff, to kind of test them out. And of course, just in general, keep an eye on position size. Like you don't want any one investment to get too big, and then like you're depending on like just this one position. Because I have a feeling like Coney, and maybe like the future MSTY. I guess like when the Bitcoin and crypto stuff like really take off. I mean they really like take off. So, but that's kind of bad because you don't want like your if you're depending on it for like for living expenses or something, you don't want it you know you don't want it to ride on any one particular product. So just keep an eye on them. And then also if you decide to use hedges, uh, sometimes like I remember back in the last financial crisis of like 2008 2009. Some of my like inverse ETFs, they actually were almost as big as like my regular positions. So then that was actually kind of bad because I was so used to like that performance that I didn't like there were times where I didn't like really pay attention too much. And that's why like I think like at the very very least, keep your kind of like your position, like your allocation, like do a review like at least like once a month, just to make sure you don't have anything like that like is kind of going too crazy in your portfolio. Um, and then also just keep in mind like your overall performance of the portfolio. If you get like a 10% decrease, that's just like a routine correction. I wouldn't freak out too much as long as you're rebalancing periodically, and then also making sure you have like some cash around to redeploy. I think you should be fine. I think when it's like when you get a 20% drop, that's kind of like your first like warning signal, and that a bear market could be like lurking, and then that's when like you should really be maybe consider trimming like your positions, and then just like adding to your cash hoard, so this way when like if the bear gets like really bad, then you can like maybe start looking for like bargains, but I guess like that'll be some time away. So then I'll maybe like make like new videos to kind of like keep everybody aware of the situation. But I think like for 2004, I think we should mostly be fine. Um, and then just in general, I guess like the when you decide to like reallocate, this helps you like survive like any at the most it might be like 1 or 2 really painful years, but then after that, um, I like the government will probably want to step in just because they don't want to like lose votes. So you know, always try to keep positive. Of course, like there's no guarantee of like a full recovery when you use hedges, because sometimes again like there's gonna be like some I guess like overall like theta bleed if you decide to use like option contracts, and then sometimes like the inverse ETFs themselves they don't perform as how you would like. And then like sometimes like the option strike selection could get pretty bad for even for covered calls. Sometimes like they either the bid ask spread it gets too wide, or like they might not even like trade at all. So just keep that in mind. And then like of course like sometimes implied volatility has a bad way of just like spiking at the wrong time. So just be mindful of that too. And I just kind of I noticed like some weirdos that are disliking my videos. Uh, Most of the time, I think that's okay because like I can't make everybody happy. But if you could just let me know what the potential issue is, and if maybe you need some help, is there a concept you need clarification on, or if you just maybe you're like this guy, you're kind of little on the weirder side. Well, then I can't really help you then. But if there's something that you having trouble with, like just let me know in the comments section, and I guess we can sort it out. But if you do like this type of content, I really appreciate a like. And then like as always, I always appreciate all my new and old subscribers alike. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great one. And let's make some good money out there. Bye now.